Imagine you could end every war in the world, but there's a condition. To do it, you would first have to kill thousands of people, destroy cities, and become the monster everyone fears. Most people would say no, but Nagato would, because he reached a terrifying conclusion. Humans only learn when they suffer. And if you want to understand how a boy who once dreamed of peace ended up believing that, you have to understand something far darker than a villain. You have to understand the philosophy of pain, and the dark logic that led him to become pain.
Itamiを感じろ。痛みを考えろ。痛みを受け取れ。痛みを知れ。痛みを知らぬ者に本当の平和は分からん。俺は弥彦の痛みを忘れない。ここより世界に痛みを。神羅転生。
Nagato was not born a villain. He was born a child. A child who lived in a small country trapped between wars. A country the great nations used as a battlefield. That place was the Amagakure, the hidden rain village. A place where rain wasn't just weather. It was a symbol, because in that land, the war never stopped. But Nagato's life changed forever one night, when shinobi broke into his home. His father tried to protect his family. His mother tried to escape, but the intruders killed them. And when the killers realized they weren't enemies, it was already too late. Those ninjas belonged to Konoha. And in that moment, something inside Nagato broke. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote that pain can reveal the truth about the world. For Nagato, that truth came far too early. He lost his parents, lived as an orphan, went hungry, watched his friends die, and every time the world took something from him, the same question returned. Why? Why do people kill each other? Why does war never end? Why does no one learn? And over time, Nagato found an answer, a dark answer, but a logical one. Here enters another important thinker, the political philosopher Thomas Hobbes. Hobbes believed human nature is violent, that if you remove laws and authority, humans fall into what he called a war of all against all, a world where every person fights to survive, a world where violence is inevitable. For Nagato, that wasn't a theory. It was his life. He had seen what happens when nations fight for power. He had seen villages destroyed, children dead, families erased. And then he realized something. If violence is natural, then peace cannot exist on its own. But Nagato still had hope, because he wasn't alone. He had two friends, Yahiko and Konan. Together they dreamed of changing the world. They dreamed of stopping the war. They dreamed of creating a place where no one would have to suffer like they did. For a time, that dream seemed possible, until the world did what it always does, break everything. The death of Yahiko was the moment that destroyed Nagato, because Yahiko didn't die in battle. He died because of an impossible choice, to save his friends. That moment transformed Nagato's pain into something else, hatred. And that's when a new idea appeared, an idea that would change everything. Here enters another philosopher, the Renaissance thinker Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler does not need to be loved. He only needs to be feared, because fear is stronger than love. Fear maintains order. And when Nagato understood that, pain was born. Pain wasn't just a name. It was a message, a reminder, a symbol. Nagato decided the world had to feel the same pain he had felt, because only then would people learn. His plan was simple and terrifying: to use the power of the tailed beasts to create a weapon capable of destroying entire nations. Every time the world started another war, that weapon would fall. Thousands would die. The world would feel terror, and then, out of fear, wars would stop. It wouldn't be true peace, but it would be peace. It's a cold logic, but it isn't completely absurd. In fact, It's very similar to the nuclear strategy during the Cold War. For decades, the superpowers maintained peace not because they trusted each other, but because both sides knew that war would mean total destruction, mutual, instant. Fear prevented war. Exactly as Nagato imagined, but here lies the true heart of the character. Nagato never stopped wanting peace. Even when he destroyed villages, even when he killed thousands, even when he declared himself a god, he believed the world needed to learn, needed to suffer, needed to understand. And then, someone unexpected appeared, a ninja who had also suffered, a ninja who also understood pain, but who reached a different conclusion. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto did not deny suffering, he did not deny hatred, but he believed something different. That pain should not be a weapon. It should be a lesson, a way to understand others, not destroy them. That moment created one of the most interesting philosophical debates in anime. Pain asked a question no one had answered before. If hatred creates more hatred, then how do you break that cycle? Naruto didn't have a perfect answer, but he had something Nagato had lost: hope. And in the end, Nagato did something no one expected. He trusted. He trusted that Naruto could find a solution he himself could never see. And with his final act, he sacrificed his life to restore the lives he had taken. In that moment, Nagato stopped being Pain and became once again the boy who once believed in peace. Because the real tragedy of Nagato was never that he became a villain. It was something far more painful. Nagato didn't want to destroy the world. He wanted to save it, but Pain convinced him that the only way to do it was to become the monster everyone feared. And that is the story of a boy who dreamed of peace and ended up teaching the world what pain truly means.